Have you ever noticed how some relationships stay in your mind long after they should have ended? Not because they were extraordinary, not because they were deeply loving, but because you never really knew where you stood. A person who clearly loves you might bring peace. A person who clearly leaves might bring heartbreak. But a person who gives you both hope and doubt at the same time can create something much harder to escape: uncertainty. And uncertainty has a strange effect on the human mind. It doesn't create closure. It creates obsession. If you've ever found yourself checking your phone constantly, replaying conversations in your head, analyzing someone's tone, or waiting for a message that never comes, this video is for you. Because what you experienced may not have been love. It may have been emotional uncertainty. And those two things are not the same. Most people think attachment grows through connection, but often, attachment grows through inconsistency. When someone is available one day and distant the next, your mind starts searching for answers. You begin looking for patterns. You become hyper-aware of every small change. A delayed response suddenly feels important. A short message feels personal. A small gesture feels meaningful. Not because those things are objectively significant, but because uncertainty turns ordinary moments into emotional clues. And when you're searching for clues, your mind rarely gets to rest. Here's the first realization. People often become attached to what they cannot predict. Not because unpredictability feels good, because unpredictability feels unfinished. And unfinished things tend to occupy the mind. Think about a movie that ends without revealing what happened. You keep thinking about it. You create theories. You replay scenes. You search for meaning. Relationships can work the same way. When someone never clearly chooses you, never clearly leaves, never clearly commits, and never clearly lets go, your brain continues trying to solve the puzzle. The relationship may have ended, but the question remains, and sometimes the question hurts more than the ending. This is why people often say, "I don't know why I can't move on." What they're really struggling with is unresolved uncertainty. The mind naturally seeks closure. When closure never arrives, it keeps searching. Now here's something that feels uncomfortable to admit. Sometimes the strongest emotional pull isn't created by love. It's created by hope. Hope can be beautiful, but hope can also become a trap. Because hope allows you to stay emotionally invested in a future that hasn't happened. You tell yourself, maybe they're confused, maybe they're scared, maybe they just need time, maybe things will change. And while you're waiting for change, your emotional energy remains attached. The relationship exists less in reality and more in possibility. That's the second realization. You can become attached to potential more than the actual person. And potential is incredibly difficult to let go of because it lives entirely in imagination. Consider someone who occasionally gives affection but rarely gives certainty. When they pull away, you feel anxious. When they return, you feel relieved. Over time, your emotional state starts depending on their behavior. You begin measuring your worth through their attention. A message lifts your mood. Silence ruins your day. Their presence feels like comfort. Their absence feels like danger. At that point, the relationship is no longer just about connection. It's about emotional regulation. And that's a dangerous place to be. Because your peace is no longer coming from within. It's coming from someone else's unpredictability. Third realization. The moment your emotional stability depends on another person's inconsistency, uncertainty gains power over you. Many people think they stayed because they loved deeply. Sometimes that's true, but sometimes they stayed because uncertainty kept activating the part of the brain that needed answers. Humans struggle with unfinished stories. We want resolution. We want understanding. We want certainty. That's why unanswered questions often hurt longer than painful truths. A painful truth can be accepted. An unanswered question keeps reopening itself. And that is why some people remain emotionally attached long after communication stops. They're still waiting for the answer they never received. So how do you know whether you're attached to a person or attached to uncertainty? Ask yourself a simple question. If I knew with absolute certainty that nothing would change, what would I do? Many people discover something surprising when they answer honestly. What they're grieving isn't the relationship. They're grieving the possibility. They're grieving the future they imagined. They're grieving the hope they invested. And recognizing that can be incredibly freeing. Because once you understand what you're actually attached to, you stop blaming yourself for not moving on. You begin understanding yourself instead. The most dangerous relationship weapon isn't rejection. It isn't distance. It isn't even heartbreak. It's uncertainty. Because uncertainty convinces you to stay emotionally invested while never giving you enough clarity to feel secure. And if this video resonates with you, remember this. You weren't weak for struggling to let go. You were trying to find certainty in a situation built on confusion. And sometimes healing begins the moment you stop chasing the answer and start accepting the reality. Because peace rarely comes from finally understanding them. It comes from finally understanding yourself.